All right. Hello, everyone. So welcome. My name is David Rodriguez, as I was just introduced. Thank you, Jasmine. So I'm an astronomical data scientist working at MAST, and it is my pleasure today to talk to you about zMast, one of our new interfaces. We actually showcased this, I think, for the first time at AAS back in January. So it's now been over 6 months. There's been some iterations, some changes, and we want to sort of showcase what is available now and sort of get you geared up for what's coming in the future. I do want to preface that this is though continue to be work in progress. So we are planning on adding additional data and we're planning on adding some additional features. As I walk through it, you'll sort of see some places where it's like, yes, this makes sense to be added. So I'll try to point that out when the time comes. However, this is still usable for science. If you go to c.mast.stsci.edu, you can go to this page, you can start using it just as any of our other interfaces. And we do encourage you to try this out, see what you think, use it for your own research, use it for your own teaching material. And if you do produce anything, say any notebooks or tutorials or worksheets or anything like that, do let us know. There is a link down here on how you can contact us with any feedback or any things that you've produced and want to share, and we would be happy to have a look or help you out. So let's get started. zMast is an interface for exploring extragalactic observations that are available at the Mikulski Archive for Space Telescopes. In particular, this is meant to highlight the high-level science products. As if you were in the STScI town hall just now, you probably remember hearing Josh Peak mentioning about how prominent high-level science products are for us and how useful they are for science. So it's very important to have interfaces like these that are directly focused on high-level science products. So zMast will allow you to explore two particular high-level science products, candles and goods for now. These are links, and you can click them to see additional information, the actual references as to how they produce the particular catalog, and information on how to download the particular data that is available for either candles or goods. And the interface in particular is meant to explore this data set. When you first come to zMast, you will see a basic search interface. There's actually three aspects to this search interface: parameter searches, coordinate searches, and object searches. So let's walk through each one and see what's available. The parameter search will allow you to select a particular survey, whether you want candles or whether you want goods. You will be able to select the particular field that is covered by the particular survey. And if you're ever wondering what fields are covered by a particular survey, that's why we have this link here for C field footprints. This is a link to our documentation where you can see a summary of the candles fields and the good fields and what we currently have available. And like I said, you can always go back to the main documentation if you want more information. So after you've selected what survey and what region you want to go, you can select the specific catalog that you're interested in. So say you're interested in the goods north field and you're interested in the candles data for the redshift information on that. As you're noticing, when I hover over it, you'll see there is a tooltip with some basic information about exactly what that table contains, as well as the reference of where we're drawing that information. And by default, usually you'll have the all regions selected. This basically consolidates all of the results from the various surveys and provides just a handful of catalogs with a reduced number of columns that are in common throughout the different fields. There's a button here for you to add conditions. So this allows you to search the entire table, and sometimes you don't want the full set of results. You want a particular subset. Say you want objects with a particular redshift of less than or equal to some value. And if you're ever wondering what parameters are accessible to me, You can click this link, and this will guide you to the documentation for the particular table that you are looking at. Well, you can see all of the tables that we have here. So for example, that summary view for the candles all region contains identifier information like the IUE name and the ID, right ascension declination, contains flags and redshifts and magnitudes, as well as some morphological parameters extracted from the source extractor. Before I actually run this search, let's actually talk about the other search options. Coordinates is very similar to parameter in the sense that you also select what particular survey, region, and catalog you're interested in, and can add conditions just the same way. However, it's meant to provide you a way to do a cone search around a particular region of the sky. So you can see I have here some right ascension, declination, and a radius in arc seconds selected. So this will perform a cone search for the particular table I have selected. So this is a good way if you're not necessarily interested in a particular set of objects by some parameter, but you're interested in a particular region of the sky. And you can also add parameters if you're also wanting to restrict the number of results you get back. The last one is the object search page, which allows you to search by an object via their name. And this is the name that's in the particular tables in our database. So this is useful, for example, when you are reading a paper and they have mentioned this particular source that they are exploring in more detail, or if you've been using zMast and you want to return to an object that you were interested in, this is a way for you to put that information and go directly to our object page results. I'll get back to this in a little bit more detail, but first let's actually carry out a search by going back to parameter. And for simplicity, I'm going to keep it at candles, all regions, and a summary view. And I'm just going to add a filter just because I can, right? So I'm going to pick a WIFC3 filter, and I'm going to say greater than 25th AB magnitude. And I'm going to go ahead and click search. So this will give you the tabular result page. There are options for you to go back to the search. There is a description. This is the internal table name with the condition that you've supplied. There are options here at the top right for you to download the table of results in whatever format you prefer. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can control, you can see how many search objects are over 50,000 in this case. You can control how many you're seeing and page through the results. All of the columns you see here are filterable and sortable. So let's say you are interested actually in the EGS field, the extended gross split. So you can click there and type in the name, press enter, or click the button. And now I have filtered to just the EGS results. Now I could have included that as one of the conditions originally in my search, but this is a way you can continue to filter your results as you're working through it. And I can scroll through the right and see all of the various columns that are available. Say, this is the one I filtered by. And so I can see that indeed everything is larger than 25th magnitude, fainter than 25th magnitude. This is that IOE name that I was mentioning that you could put into the object search result. This will come back later towards the end of my presentation. What I want to point out is this orange button here to see object. So if you click this, you will go to the object results page. So this is a presentation of some of the data available for this specific object alone. And there are three aspects to this that I want to walk you through. So on the left in this gray area is the summary of information that we have for this particular object. Now, there is a lot of data available through the various tables. For example, in candles, this is just a subset of the columns just to give you an idea of what is available. So you see, again, some of the coordinates, some redshift information, some magnitudes, and some morphological parameters. This is all actually coming from the summary catalog. And it's always these sets of parameters that we're currently offering for now. So if I had searched another table, I would still be seeing this information. At the bottom, this table here is the table of observations available through the multi-mission database at MAST. So this is what you would get if you do something like a cone search for the particular source coordinates in the MAST portal, for example. And right now it's by default being filtered by the HLSPs that we have available. So this will be showing us candles and goods data. And like our other tables, these column headers are filterable and sortable. So we can say, hey, I just want the 606 filter. And so now my table is much reduced in volume, and I can deal with it a little bit better. And there are options here to export the table of results in case you want to have this for reference later. Everything you see here in orange, these are links. So if you want to download a particular mosaic that went through, that the Candles mission has provided to us, you can go ahead and click that, and that'll download the data right now. I don't want to do that because that's quite a big download, so I don't want to sort of bog down the my connection right now. There are a few things that we're working on. You can see some exposure times are missing and some data observations. That's all going to be filled out as we continue to work on this. Let's talk about the main panel here, what you see at the sort of front and center when you go in. So there are two tabs currently available, the spectral energy distribution, or SED, and the images tab, which is for image cutouts. The SED is constructed from the data available with this particular survey. So this is in contrast with some other archives, for example, that harvest data from this year. This is showing you what data is available in Candle. So this gives you a good idea of the data coverage available. And as you hover over, you can see some of the measurements, the flux values in microjanskis and the central wavelengths. And we'll be adding a way for you to download this particular set of data. Currently, it's an interactive plot, so you can zoom in and zoom out, and you can save the plot itself. But sometimes you want to actually get the data so that you can convert it. For example, instead of F nu, maybe you want F lambda, or maybe you want to plot against frequency instead of wavelengths. The Images tab shows you a set of cutouts for this particular object. You can see the filter that's being cut and the size of the cutout. And this is all coming from the actual data. So it's from the actual final mosaics provided by the Candles HLSP. And one of these is usually selected to be here on sort of like a thumbnail preview view, just so you have a quick look even before going to the Images tab of what type of object you're looking at. Now, this particular object is rather faint, but that's still, you can sort of see, yes, there's no very obvious contamination going on in terms of a nearby star or another galaxy that may be in its close vicinity. We will be providing in the future options for you to download these. Right now, these are just PNG files or JPEG files, so you can always save the image, but we know that a lot of people would rather have the FITS file or would rather make their own cutouts at a particular different size. So that's all coming somewhat later. If I go back here to the search, you'll notice that it returns me to the object search with that particular object selected. So this is just a convenience feature, just in case you're like, yes, I want to go back to the object I was just looking at. But that's what this page tells you, right? So this page will send you directly to the search page for the object, not the table view. In the last bit of time I have, I want to point out the documentation here at the bottom. So we've already seen this briefly, right? So you see that we have the fields available. If you click on the data description, you can see the description of the available tables and their metadata information, that is the columns available. And there's also the API description. So if you prefer to do some of your work, say via Python notebook or something of the sort, you can do basic calls. These are RESTful calls to get some of the same information that the UI is displaying. And the STScI API in particular, this is the underlying software that produces the cutouts. So if you are interested in making cutouts, but you'd rather not wait for us to hook up the service to the UI, you can have a look at the API and see if it will serve for your purposes in terms of making a particular cutout of the field that you're interested in. And for that, I believe that is all that I wanted to present at the moment. Let me go ahead and put up my thank you slide. So thank you for attending. If you do want to hear more information about this, we have a representative at all times at the STScI virtual booth, so at the Space Telescope virtual booth. So feel free to stop by at any time. And you can always email us at archive@stsci.edu or tweet at us at @MAST_news. So thank you all for your attention, and I will open the floor now for any questions you may have.